Happy Saturday to you. Welcome to the DraftKings Daily Trot. I'm Big Italy 42, talking about tonight's action on DraftKings, and only 8 games for tonight because there, of course, is a day slate with it being Saturday, of course. So if you're playing that, that starts at 2:10. Good luck with that one, but I'm focusing on tonight's slate to give you a little bit of extra time to get yourself ready for tonight's action starting at 7:10. And I'm going to take these from the top here, of course, as always, with pitcher. And despite there being 16 pitchers on the mound tonight, there's not a whole lot of great options. You've got your top price-wise option at Tyson Ross at $9,400, facing off against the Pittsburgh Pirates. 7-run total is the lowest total on the night, so you like that about him. Just a -110 favorite against Charlie Morton. I think that due more to the fact that San Diego's offense, outside of walk-off grand slams, not doing a whole lot right now. But I think he's got to be one of your high upside guys. I guess you're going to pay $9,400 for him in your cash games because you do need 2 pitchers, and there's not very many guys I feel comfortable with. But I don't love the play. I think he's got great upside, of course, with his strikeout rate. By far the highest on the night tonight at 26.6%, at least among qualified pitchers. A couple guys with just a few starts that are a little bit higher. But yeah, he's got to be your top option. He's got 11.6% walk rate, though, which is also the highest on the day. That's concerning, but 64.1% ground ball rate. So I think Ross is going to have to be one of your 2 pitchers. Like I said, not in love with it, but he's got good upside if he can keep it going. Pittsburgh's been swinging the bats finally, but I think that Ross is going to need to be one of your 2 pitchers. Michael Wacha is another guy that I like. Of course, facing off against the Dodgers, who are the top offense in the league against right-handed pitching, but Wacha's been great last couple games. 7 innings against KC, just 1 earned run. 7 innings against the Mets, just 2 earned runs. 5 innings against Cleveland, 1 earned run. He's been really up and down with the strikeouts. He's been showing a lot some days and then not much other days. But all in all, he's been a great pitcher this year. Definitely a guy that's been underappreciated. His strikeout rate, though, just 14.8%, which you absolutely hate. But almost a 50% ground ball rate. Doesn't allow many home runs, just .62 per 9. Walks less than 6% of batters. So I actually slightly prefer him to Ross if it weren't for the matchup with the Dodgers. But despite being the top offense so far, the Dodgers really not hitting the ball very well right now. So I really don't mind going with Wacha. I might just lock in these 2 top guys because there's not a whole lot of other guys I like. Yordan Ventura certainly has upside in tournaments, but he's also been erratic at times, and they've got some big bats on the other side that can definitely punish him. So not a guy that I'm in love with there. Tim Lincecum's interesting against an Atlanta team that's really struggling at the plate right now at $7,400. I'll probably throw him in a couple tournaments, but also with him, not a whole lot of upside with the strikeouts. So you guys that do have the upside, you know, you got Sayoshi Wada at $6,600, but he faces off against KC. I don't like playing pitchers against KC, but he does have 15 strikeouts in his first 2 games, so just 10 innings pitched. So I guess if you wanted to go that route in the tournament, there's not many options. Jesse Hahn, very interesting one. I think I might actually end up playing him as one of my secondary cash game plays. Last time out, complete Game 4 hitter, 5 Ks against Detroit. Time before that, pretty good against Houston as well. So you're obviously not expecting a complete game shutout from this guy against the Yankees, but he is at home, he's pitching well, and he's only $6,400. So pick which one of those top guys is your favorite. Pair one of those guys up with Jesse Hahn if you want to save some money, and I think that's not a bad way to go in your cash games. Outside of that, Shane Green against a struggling Angels offense. He's so volatile. He's only reserved for tournaments for me. I won't be playing Sean Markham. Maybe Carlos Frias. I know he's absolutely awful in his last start. 4 innings, 10 earned runs, but he's still got 11 ground ball outs there. I didn't have a single strikeout, but at 4.2K, despite facing a really hot St. Louis offense, I don't think he's a bad option, especially for your tournaments. So outside of that, not really touching any of these guys. Everybody else in a pretty bad spot, if you ask me. And other guys like Jared Weaver, just too pricey. Just don't trust the guy. I mean, he's certainly got some upside, but not a route that I'll be taking. As we move over to catcher, obviously Buster Posey, homered again last night. He's heating up, $4,400. You're going to want to get some of him tonight. Brian McCann against Jesse Hahn, if you're not playing him, he's a good tournament option. $4,000 there. I really like Robinson Chirinos. He mashed his left-handed pitching. Had a homer a couple days ago, a couple hits last night, $3,600. He's going to be one of my favorite tournament options for tonight's slate. And then if you're going cheap, the guy that I'll probably be playing in my cash games is going to be Miguel Montero at $3,300. Gets Yordan Ventura today, who, as we know, has just been erratic. He's had a couple big games, had a couple really bad games. If it's not him, it's going to be Derek Norris, who this is obviously not chasing the grand slam from last night, but he's just too good of a hitter to be priced at $3,500 against Charlie Morton. Charlie Morton is tough on righties, though, which is why I slightly prefer Miguel Montero to Norris, but Norris certainly has that upside. 4 strikeouts last night, then a grand slam to walk it off. So I think those are the only options at catcher tonight. As we move over to first base, Mike Napoli, your most expensive option. Not a route that I'll probably be taking, but definitely an interesting way to go in tournaments if you want to swerve. He's heating up, certainly, with 8 home runs now. I think I prefer Prince Fielder, $100 cheaper against Wade Miley. Yes, it's lefty-lefty, but Wade Miley, not a good lefty. Love Anthony Rizzo at home against the Giordano Ventura. We know how crazy the winds have been at Wrigley Field recently, and doesn't take much for Rizzo to send one to the seats. Of course, Miggy against Jared Weaver, always in play there. Adrian Gonzalez, if you're not playing Michael Wacha, $4,600, a nice price tag for him. A guy that I really like, I'll probably be playing him in the outfield. Brandon Moss, once again, I'm going to be looking his way in tournaments, $4,300. Over 3 last night. That's the risk you're taking with Brandon Moss, though. He's got power. You're not paying for him to get you 3 hits. You're paying for him to send one to the seats, and I think he could certainly do that tonight. Freddie Freeman, another guy, homered last night. Now he gets Tim Lincecum. Line drive machine. Hit a homer in this big ballpark last night, so certainly in play there. As you're looking at cheaper options, Billy Butler is a guy you can consider against Anthony Eovaldi. Eovaldi's pitching better, but I still don't have a whole lot of faith in the guy. And outside of that, that's going to wrap things up for first base. I'm not paying for any cheap guys there. There's too many good options at the top. Second base, Dustin Pedroia, your most expensive option, but he's been really hot recently, so I don't blame you there. I think I'd still prefer Jason Kipnis, if there's anyone hotter, it's still Jason Kipnis there at $4,600. Colton Wong, once again, if you're not playing Frias, he's really hitting the ball well, starting to show some power. Had a double last night, a couple hits. Game before, he hit a home run. 3 hits 2 games before that. Really starting to heat up at the top of that order. Ben Zobrist at $4,000 against Eovaldi, I like. If you want a tournament option, Brett Laurie, $3,800, second base or third base eligible. Home runs in each of his last 2 games. He's not a guy that's going to get you a ton of hits, but he's got some power at the middle infield, which is, as you know, very rare. Neil Walker against Tyson Ross is a tournament option for me because I'm probably going to be playing Tyson Ross more often than not. And cheaper than that, Jace Peterson, $2,900, a nice cash game option there. Should be batting at the top of the order against Tim Lincecum. Not a guy with a ton of power. He's got 1 home run on the season, but if he gets on base, he should get you some at-bats. Obviously, no negatives there on DraftKings. And Johnny Giavotella led off yesterday. Went over 3 with a walk. But if he leads off again, I don't think he's a bad option at all at 2.8K against Shane Green. Third base, obviously lots of options, as there always are. Miguel Cabrera, of course, already mentioned him. He's got third base eligibility. Matt Carpenter, $4,700. I don't need to expand on him. He's just the ultimate cash game play. The guy just incredible every single night. Chris Bryant, gotta love him in tournaments, $4,600. And then $100 below him, Adrian Beltre against a lefty and a bad one at home. And Wade Miley, love him. He's probably going to be in a lot of my cash games tonight. I think he's a fine tournament option as well. If you're going down below that, Yangervis Solarte does not have a bad price tag at all. He's sitting at $3,100. Second base or third base eligibility if you want someone cheap. Alex Guerrero now has third base and outfield rather than second base and outfield eligibility. $3,000 for him. And an interesting option as well is Will Middlebrooks if he's in the lineup. $3,300. I don't mind him. Moving over to shortstop, Hanley Ramirez, your most expensive option. Finally starting to get it going. It's almost like he waited for the calendar month to end, but not quite. He was awful for all of May until 2 days ago. Home runs in back-to-back games, including and also a double. Looks like he's finally back. Take advantage of his shortstop eligibility while you can. I know I will be tonight. Johnny Peralta, of course, another nice game last night, $4,300. He's in play. Jimmy Rollins, as much as you hate to say it, he's got a tough matchup, but he just gets on base and he scores runs. He's $3,700 if you need to save yourself some money. Of course, Marcus Semien, always batting that 2-hole, $3,700. You're certainly considering him. Jung-Ho Gong, $3,500. He's in play as well. And I'll throw out Jose Ramirez if he's batting second, $3,300. Not a bad play there either. As we move on to the outfield here, as always, tons of options. Nelson Cruz has got to be your top option if you ask me. $5,600. He gets Sean Markham tonight. Up to 18 home runs on the season. This is one of the few guys who's got that power, and he's hitting for average 342. I mean, he's just having a hell of a season. If you can afford him, get him in, especially in your tournaments tonight. Mike Trout, not a bad matchup against Shane Green, but he hasn't had very many big games recently. He had that little stretch there for 3 games where he had a couple multi-hit games, but just one multi-hit game his last 7. Obviously, he's always in play, but I think he's more of a tournament option for me tonight. Elsewhere, of course, you can play Hanley in the outfield. I think he's better reserved for shortstop. I always like Michael Brantley, 4,600. No one ever talks about the guy. 0 for 4 last night. Obviously, those things happen. I'm not concerned about that at all. Roenis Elias, not a guy that I'm scared of in the slightest. If you're not playing Jesse Hahn, of course, you're looking at Brett Gardner. Stolen base upside, always. 5 points for a stolen base on DraftKings. Certainly consider him tonight. And Cole Calhoun, 4,400 against Shane Green. I like him as well. I already mentioned Brandon Moss you can play in the outfield here. And some other guys, Josh Hamilton, certainly back. 2 home runs last night. You're going to be looking his way as well. Seth Smith, getting to be pretty pricey after another nice game last night. Homered, got 18 fantasy points, 3,900. But if he's batting first or second, and he should be, you like him against Sean Markham. Sticking with that Seattle theme. And few other guys for you down here. Cameron Maybin is an interesting option. He's been batting second, $3,000 against Lincecum. I like him in that big ballpark with his speed. Anthony Goes, of course, always in play. Should be leading off today against Jared Weaver, $3,500. Got to like him. I'm going to throw out one more tournament option here. Once again, picking on Yordano Ventura, $4,100 Dexter Fowler. He's got a nice floor generally with the stolen base upside, the home run upside. He makes for a great tournament option because the guy can just do it all. And with that, there's not a whole lot of really cheap options that I'm liking. So that's going to wrap things up. Thanks for hanging out with me here. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and find us on Twitter at DFCafe. And check out all of our content for tonight's slate and every other slate at dailyfantasycafe.com.